Hello everyone! A lot of you have been asking me to show some of my games, and well, today the Croatian National League started, and my chess club went to play another chess club. And I played on board one, I played against the candidate master, and I checked some of his games online, and well, I saw that he doesn't really lose a lot of games, but I saw that the games he did lose with the white pieces were against the King's Indian defense. And well, so of course I checked out some of Nakamura's games in the King's Indian, and well, I thought I prepared pretty good. But it's not the game itself. I mean, I was pretty satisfied with the way I played. I just well, didn't really like the way the game ended. But you'll see what I mean, as the quote above the board illustrates it pretty well. So my opponent is white, and he plays c4. I go knight to f6, knight to c3, g6, d4, bishop to g7, e4, and d6. So the standard King Indian defense variation. Knight to f3, and here I castled. Bishop to e2, and here knight b to d7 is a more standard move, or maybe e5, but I play knight to c6, as a lot of players didn't seem to, well, grasp this position well. My opponent played d5, and I retreated with the knight, knight to b8. He played castles, and here I played e5. And now I don't mind if he captures d captures on e6 en passant. I will develop my bishop, and I don't mind this for black. So instead he played bishop to g5. And here I thought, well, I mean, okay, there's a bishop on g5. So I played h6. I want to know what his intentions are with his dark squared bishop. And well, he played bishop to h4. Maybe bishop to e3 was a better idea here, but he went to bishop to h4, and well, I immediately pushed to g5, as I had a pretty good idea what my plan was here. He played bishop to g3, and I played knight to h5. My idea isn't to capture this dark square bishop, as this dark square bishop isn't really doing anything, it's just hitting my e5 pawn. My idea was actually to place the knight on f4, and if he ever captures the knight, then I can play e captures on f4, and my dark square bishop comes alive. And well, he doesn't really have any good discoveries with his knight, so his bishop would be attacking my knight. Whatever he captures, here or whatever he plays, I simply capture the bishop, and I also have a tempo on his rook, so that's not really an option. So he played knight to d2, and now he opened up the attack on my knight on h5, and I went knight to f4. And like I said, I do enjoy my knight being on f4. If he ever captures it, I'll simply recapture here, and my bishop comes alive. So he played bishop to g4 here. He wants me to capture on g4, so he could play queen captures on g4, and this would be a very nice, well, a very nice square for his queen. But I actually played knight to d7 now, with ideas of, well, with ideas of knight to f6. So if he captures my bishop on c8, I capture with my queen on c8, so I can get my queen into the game as well. Here he played b4, and in this position I played a5. I want to break up this massive pawn structure, and probably best for white here would be to push b5, although this isn't really a move you want to make as white, as you do a lot of moves like knight to c5. But my opponent played a3 here, and this a3 is actually a blunder, but I didn't take advantage of this, as it was a kind of a subtle blunder. I was really looking how to make my bishop come alive. But the idea is, after a3 I do have this move h5, and this is well, this is troublesome for white. If he captures the pawn, bishop captures on h5, then I simply play a captures on b4, and this is with a tactic that a captures on b4, rook captures on a1, queen captures on a1, and now this bishop on h5 is hanging. So after this h5 move, he would well, he would probably have to play something like bishop to f5, which kind of gives me a beautiful pawn chain here, and then I could push h4 or capture my knight here on d7, but this would be excellent, as I would have the bishop pair. But I didn't see this h5 idea. So after a3, I played knight to f6, which was my original idea. Now I'm attacking this bishop twice. So he captures, bishop captures on c8, queen captures on c8, and he plays knight to b3, now attacking this a5 pawn I have. So I capture, he captures, and I play rook captures on a1. Queen captures on a1, and well, I had a lot of ideas here. In the game I played h5, which I thought it was a pretty good move, threatening h4. If he wants to get his bishop out of the way, he will have to weaken his king position. But I was also thinking about a move like knight captures on e4. But I didn't really want to spend too much time calculating this. My idea was after something like knight captures on e4, I could play knight to e2 check. And after king to h1, I could play something like f5. And I thought, okay, after he moves his knight, I'll just play f4 and I win the piece back. But here there were a lot of options for white, so I didn't really go into this. And well, the engine doesn't like this for black, so maybe it's good I haven't played this. But it gives the advantage of a pawn to white, so maybe I could have played this. But okay, after this queen captures rook on a1, I played h5, threatening h4, and here he played f3, kind of making room for his bishop. But after I continued with my plan, I played h4. If you play something like bishop to f2 or bishop to e1, I do have this knight to d3 move with an attack on his dark square bishop and also attacking this b4 pawn. So here after h4 he captured it, bishop captures on f4, e captures on f4, and he played queen to a7 with ideas of, well, knight to a5 to attack my b7 pawn, and well, if I play something like b6, then knight to c5 maybe. But he does have this problem of my discovery here. If my knight ever moves, this opens up the attack on this knight on c3. And well, the engine is giving here knight to g4 as a move, sort of, as now my bishop is attacking the knight on c3, and after this is dealt with, well, he will either f captures my knight on g3, or he will move the knight and then I can play maybe knight to e3. But I didn't know if after, for example, if I played knight g4 after knight to d1, what was the idea here? I mean, knight to e3 doesn't really achieve anything, simply playing knight to e5, maybe improving the position of the knight. But okay, I didn't go for this. After queen to a7, I played h3. I already had a pawn on h4, so why not play pawn to h3, break open his king. He played g3, and I played f captures on g3, h captures on g3, and now knight to h5. And now I'm attacking the g3 pawn, and also this knight on c3 with my bishop. So he played knight to e2. This is the best move as it prevents both threats. The knight also defends on g3. And well, here after thinking for a couple of minutes, I played f5. And I thought this was a good move. I didn't really see any good moves for him, as well I am threatening f captures on e4 here, opening up my rook. So he played queen to e3, and this is the strongest move the engine is recommending. And well, I had a lot of ideas here. My initial idea, as I was going towards this position, was to actually play knight to g3 here. So after he captures, I just push f4. But then he has this queen to f2 move, and after I capture, queen captures, I didn't really see if I had anything here. I mean, okay, his king is kind of loose, but so is mine. I mean, this g5 pawn of mine isn't really the best pawn. So after this queen to e3 move, I didn't go for knight captures on g3, but I also had ideas of f4. So maybe g captures on f4, knight captures on f4, and now knight captures on f4, and rook captures on f4. But again, I didn't see I had anything good here. Oh, and well, the engine agrees with me. So after this queen to e3 move, I played queen to d8, now defending my g5 pawn, and I played this with a kind of a risky tactic, as I didn't really have time to calculate it all out. I'm giving up my pawn here because he played e captures on f5, and of course if I capture with my rook, then g4, and he wins a piece. But this was my idea. I played rook to e8, attacking the queen. He played queen to f2, and now comes my idea into play. I played rook captures on e2, sacrificing the exchange. He played queen captures on e2, And now I can't really go for knight captures on g3 yet, attacking the queen and the rook, because he has this intermezzo queen to e6 check, and after my king moves, he will then move the rook. But what my idea was that after queen captures on e2, I played bishop to e5, not allowing him to play queen to e6 check, but I'm also attacking this g3 pawn here, and well, he doesn't really have a way of preventing me from capturing it. But at this moment he was already down to maybe 2 minutes on the clock, so I didn't really feel too bad about giving up the exchange. So he played f4, and this wasn't really a great move, as I was hoping for him to do this. Okay, he's attacking my bishop here and also my knight here with the queen, but I have knight captures on g3, and now I'm attacking his queen, his rook, and also his queen cannot go to h5. But I also knew that his queen could never go to g4. If he played queen to g4, I had h2, and this is a winning move. He can't really capture the pawn because I will grab the rook with check. So after king to g2, I have knight captures on f1. And now, well, he can't capture the knight because I will queen the pawn, but he can't capture my bishop as well. If he captures my bishop, he gets knight to e3, forking the king and the queen. So after this knight captures on g3, he found the best move. He played queen to h2, and now I have to grab the rook. I played knight captures rook on f1, he played king captures knight on f1, and I played bishop captures on f4, attacking his queen, and he played queen captures on h3. And okay, we both have 4 pawns, but I have a bishop against his knight, and I was sure this was winning. And I played queen to f6 here, which is the strongest move. I'm, well, protecting everything here. I'm not allowing his knight into the game via knight to d4. And also I'm forcing his queen to keep an eye on this f5 pawn, because if the queen moves, I'll just grab it. So he played queen to d3, now guarding the pawn from d3, and also now preparing to get his knight into the game with knight to d4. I didn't want to allow this, so I played bishop to e5, not allowing the knight in. And he played king to g2, and I immediately played g4 here, as now my pawn is covering f3 and h3, and the bishop is guarding g3. So I thought this was pretty good for me. Maybe I even have some mating ideas here. He played knight to d2, and I played queen to h4, now threatening ideas like queen to h2 check. So he stopped this, knight to f1, and here I just, well, there really isn't a way for me to continue the attack, so I played king to f7. I want to improve my position and get my king to f6, so after I decide what to do here, my king will be free to capture this f-pawn. He played c5, and of course I ignored this. This doesn't really threaten anything, so I played king to f6, and he played c6. And okay, I played b6. b5 was even better, but I was already low on time, so I didn't even consider b5. He played b5 himself, and it's my move now. And well, I didn't really find a good move to play here. I mean, I did find a good move. It's a winning move, but although the engine is recommending queen to h6, I played queen to h3 check, and I went for the exchange of queens because, well, after queen captures on h3, g captures, king captures, I played king captures on f5, and I mean, his king is so far away, I'm just gonna gobble up all of these pawns. And here he played knight to d2, not allowing my king to go to e4. And well, this is actually the moment where I blunder the game, because this is a completely winning position, but I decided to play bishop to c3, now attacking his knight. In this position, I didn't really even look at my game anymore. I thought, of course, this is completely winning. I was looking at the other games my teammates were playing, and I thought, well, I mean, there is no way this isn't winning. I mean, look at this king on h3. And I played bishop to c3, and he played knight to c4. And here I knew what his idea was. He wanted to capture either my d pawn or my b pawn, and then if I recapture, he can push his c pawn. And still, I was you know, I wasn't really sure if this is a draw. So I played king to e4, and after he captured, knight captures with check. I can't recapture the knight because then the c pawn is going forward. So I played king captures on d5, and here he played a knight to c8, and well, as you can see, this is a completely drawn ending, because he will play knight to a7 at some point. For example, I can play king to c5 and knight to a7, and his knight is now protecting both of these pawns, the b pawn and the c pawn, and they're both on light squares. My bishop is useless here, and I can never get in closer with my king, because this b pawn is protecting a6, and well, the knight is protecting c8. So I can't go to challenge this knight, and I can't attack these pawns. So this was the critical moment of the endgame, when he played this knight to d2 move. I played bishop to c3, but what I should have played was simply bishop to d4, and it's really a small difference. I mean, now I freed this e5 square for my king, so I can grab the pawn this way. But now if he plays knight to c4, this move doesn't really do anything, because I play bishop to c5, and now he can't capture any of these pawns because the bishop will capture the knight. So yeah, after knight to d2, like I said, this is the critical position, and well, this is where I blundered the game. The game ended in a draw, but it was a winning position for me. So yeah, don't do this if you you know. I never really start celebrating my win before I actually won the game, but here I didn't think White had any chances of drawing this. So yeah, I did make that mistake that I always say that I never will make. And you know, this can be a lesson for you not to do something like this. You know, even if you're winning, do check the winning move, as I did have. Well, I did have about 5 minutes here on the clock. I could have checked for a better move. So yeah, that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Zev Libin for your contribution to my channel. I really appreciate it. Thank you a lot, sir. And yeah, as usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. And that's it. Thank you all for watching. I will see you soon.